Hey, thanks for checking out Four Finger Discount. Don't forget to hit subscribe for more Simpsons videos. So we're here with Daniel Connell. How you doing, Dan?
Hey, good. Thanks, guys. How are you guys?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for joining us. So we're obviously here to talk about The Simpsons, but before we talk about The Simpsons, you've got a lot of stuff going on at the moment. You just released a special recently. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, just probably about a month ago, I think it was. I released my third special called Little Aussie Battler, which was a show I toured all through 2024 and then filmed it at the end of 24 and then, released it about a month ago. Yeah, it's kind of the way of the world now with social media and needing to keep up with clips. Filming your special every year now is kind of the norm. So it used to not be, but I've released maybe 3 in 4 years now. So just keeping up with the younger generation and social media.
You're like Smithers. You've got the grind set, mate. You're just working 24/7.
That's it.
I must admit, when I was doing my research about you on the internet, found your LinkedIn profile, which is something I haven't seen a lot of sort of comedians have, actually. I'm wondering how sort of vital that is in today's entertainment industry to be, not just across the socials, but across, well, apparently increasingly the social or the business social.
Yeah, it's becoming definitely more and more. The LinkedIn one, thankfully, is run by my manager, so I don't know anything about it or have to do anything with that one. I control Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and that's enough for me. But yeah,
The important stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much now you need to do. If you want to stay relevant, and it's pretty tricky because everybody is now. If I go to a open mic on a Tuesday night, everybody's got their camera set up the back. Everybody's filming everything, and it's just never ending.
I suppose it makes it easier to get discovered, right, if you're recording your stuff all the time. Because if you didn't have a need back in the day, now that you've got the need to do it, it's sort of you don't have to be flogging DVDs all the time. It's just go to my YouTube channel and you can check out my stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a fine line. Like I see some people filming that are quite new, and I wouldn't want to be putting stuff up that when I'm that new, because if something does go viral and you then have to back it up with a live show, you haven't got the chops as of yet. So it's that fine balance of knowing when to start posting and releasing stuff. But yeah, everybody sort of figures it out on the run. It's also new, It's filming everything. It's only come in the last sort of since COVID. I've really noticed a big uptick in people filming their sets. So everybody's kind of figuring it out on the run.
I saw you've given up on your podcast pre-COVID. Is that ever going to return?
Yeah, I did. I don't know. As you would be full aware, running a podcast it takes, it's not just one day of recording. You're doing days in the lead up, and it was taking a little bit of time away from the stand up, which is where I was making money. So it was a tricky balance. I'm sure if I kept it going, I'd probably be up to a few hundred episodes now, maybe be making some money off it. But yeah, I just got to 50. I thought that's a nice number to finish on.
How important has it been being on shows like Have You Been Paying Attention in recent years?
Yeah, that definitely is a huge help with ticket sales and just getting your name out there a bit more, for sure. Yeah, social media is, especially TikTok and Instagram, are probably the way a lot of people are blowing up now and getting their fans. Like, there's people on there that have 500,000 followers and don't get any TV in Australia, but can sell out theaters and really big rooms. But yeah, Have You Been Paying Attention especially is probably one of the last places you can really show your comedy chops on Aussie TV. But when I was a teenager, there was loads. They used to have stand-up on the Footy Show and Hey Hey, and even some of the morning shows used to have a stand-up spot. There was lots of opportunities, where now it's kind of not really any chances to do stand-up apart from the gala on TV. So Have You Been Paying Attention is a really important one for comedians, just to be able to show that they can be funny. And then, you do notice a little uptick in ticket sales from that.
Well, I'm wondering how important things like the Melbourne Comedy Festival are still. I mean, because when I was growing up, and it was pretty much a pivotal event, and everyone was talking about who was coming out or who had new shows premiering and things like that. I'm wondering if that's still something that you can, use as a selling point, because you're an award winner from this year's comedy festival, right? The Piece of Wood Award, I understand, which sounds incredibly prestigious.
Yeah, the festival's still pretty good. Like, I think a lot of festivals that had comedy in them are it's a bit tricky. It costs so much to run festivals now, and the competition is so fierce. Like pretty much every American comedian, UK comedian, Indian comedians are coming here now, and all year round now they're selling out Rod Laver and Palais, and especially this is just in Melbourne, where I think 10 years ago maybe 4 or 5 big names would come out and tour. So the festival was a huge draw card, and everyone would use that month to see their comedy for the year. That was when you went and saw comedy. Yeah. But people are seeing it every day of the week now. I did a gig at the Palais not too long ago, and they had about, they were just full of just shows, and people, podcasters and people I'd never heard of before that were selling 3,000 tickets there. So the festival's still great for us to be able to showcase it, but it's got a lot of competition now compared to what it did, even 5 years ago. I feel like crowds are still coming out, and Melbourne, people have that in there, especially Melbourne people have that in their DNA to go and see a show at the comedy festival.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But with the cost of living and all those things, if you're going to see 2 of your favourite UK or American comedians throughout the year for probably $250 for 2 tickets, maybe you're not seeing those 10 or 20 shows you used to see at the comedy festival in Melbourne. You may be just seeing 1 or 2 or none. So it's just that fine balance of how much the crowds are seeing and what they're taking in, what they're spending their money on. But from a performer point of view, it's still awesome. This year was really fun. They're still bringing out some pretty good, solid international acts, and the gala's still a great sort of something you really aim for. You'd love to be on the gala every year, which is nice.
Because Just for Laughs was cancelled for a while, right?
It was, yeah. I think it's just come back this year.
Yeah, Nina was saying that.
Yeah.
But she was saying that she did really well in her set, and then they cancelled it and just deleted her set, so now she can't find it, and now they've brought Just for Laughs back again.
Yeah, right. That sucks. You can't get your hands on that. Yeah.
But yeah, with The Simpsons, so obviously we're here talking about Homer the Smithers today, but what are your earliest memories of The Simpsons? Like, when were you growing up? Was it during the 90s? Like, what was peak Simpsons for you?
Yeah, definitely early 90s. I remember, I have 2 older sisters, and I remember my big sister wanting to watch it a lot, and we would just, sit there, and then I just obviously became a big fan. And I don't think it's because it was it was one of the few things that was before your bedtime. I think that was the key to it. Like, you were seeing something that was very funny, and often now I watch it, and things that went over my head when I was a kid are so much more funny now. Like, I rewatched that episode we're talking about today and laughed out loud a couple of times at things I just didn't remember from that episode. Yeah, I just remember, early 90s. Yeah, I just remember woodfire. I have really good memories of childhood woodfire going after dinner, sitting down with my sisters, and we'd be allowed to watch The Simpsons.
A lot of people associate their earliest memories of The Simpsons with watching it with family members. Like, for me, it's watching it with my dad. My dad and I didn't really have much in common, but we always watched The Simpsons together, and also watch it with my sisters. So it's always just, The Simpsons. Plus, it meant that my dad couldn't watch the 6 p.m. news because Channel 10 whacked The Simpsons on.
Yeah. You know what? Going through, when you asked me to do that, I obviously went back and looked at some old seasons and just looking at the list of the episodes. And obviously there's, 900 odd episodes or whatever.
About nearly 800 now, I think. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I just knew everyone. I was like, oh my God, I've seen every single episode. I knew every plot, and I just you just watched it, and it just was, it's just in our brains now forever.
Having said that, Daniel, I mean, watching it at that young age, I'm wondering if it sort of helped form your, I don't know, comedic style, if it just sort of seeped into your bones and into your DNA in some way. It's like, oh, this is how you do comedy, or this is how I learn comic timing, or this is how I can shape a joke, or this is how I can deliver a line.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it definitely is, like you say, it just seeps in. I remember I definitely would have gone to school and, talked about the episode the next day. That was something we did amongst our friendship group. We'd always go in and say the funny lines and try and do the voices. And I think when you're really young, you're not really looking at formula and how they're putting the show together and how they write. But definitely once I got into my teens and, 15 to 20, I was watching, I was like, oh, wow. Because stand-up was sort of in my mind then, and I was watching a lot of stand-up on TV, and obviously Full Frontal and Fast Forward, those TV shows in the 90s were
Fast Forward, man.
Yeah. They were things that we really, I personally loved them. And from about 15 or 16, I wanted to give stand up a go. So then when I watched the Simpsons, I just loved, the callbacks and the more adult content and the real cheeky stuff that they got away with really appealed to me. So I think without a doubt, all those, really funny things we watched growing up it definitely helped me understand comedy and how it works.
I was going to ask you, are there any other shows growing up that you maybe didn't really appreciate that once you realised you wanted to become a comedian that you went back and went, oh, this is what I need to be getting influenced by, inspiration from?
The one that comes to mind that is the writing is exceptional now that I watch it because my wife loves it. And when I was a kid, I just had is Frasier. Yeah, it is up there. Like obviously we watch Seinfeld and I love Seinfeld and always knew it was great. But Frasier's definitely gone up so much in my book in the last decade of watching it. I just think the writing on that show was, obviously the acting's great, but the writing as well was just exceptional. If you go back and watch it now, it still holds up.
Yeah, it's got that classic sort of combination. It's got really strong sort of sitcom bones in terms of its setup and its character dynamic and all of that. Then it's got this sort of lovely frosting layer on top of just this sophisticated humour that makes it feel a little bit more classy by watching it. Then they'll undercut that with Martin sort of cutting him down to size with just by telling it how it is. Frasier's fantastic in that regard.
Yeah, all those things you said. It's that now that I'm you get a few more gags and you understand it when you're older and how things work. I just think the casting on that show and Seinfeld, you look back at it, they just absolutely nailed their casting for each role on those shows. They must look back. People who did that must look back now with such, pride because they absolutely nailed the casting for that one.
I remember not liking Frasier as a kid because I didn't get it.
Well, that's probably it. Yeah.
Yeah. When I was a teenager, I finally understood the jokes. I was like, I feel so smart now. I understand Frasier. It's almost like it was the benchmark. If you can understand Frasier, you're growing up. But yeah, you originally pitched today, we weren't going to do Homer the Smithers. You asked for, I think it was like a season 17 episode, which floored me. I think it was Bart Has Two Mummies. I could not believe it because every guest we've had is just always going straight to the golden era, and that's usually what we do. Why Bart Has Two Mummies? What was it that drew you to that one? That's the one where Bart is he become the monkey in the cage, or the gorilla in the cage, befriends Bart.
Yeah, it was just reading back through them all. I remember that one. Yeah, being because I haven't watched it back, but I vaguely remember that Marge, she gets a job in that one, I believe, and that's why she's not
around for something.
She's not around, yeah. And the chimp takes. I actually can't remember.
I'll get the plot up, but I was just like, I was like, season 17, wow. Normally most comedians are going, we stopped watching after season 10. I was really impressed.
And we would have talked about it not long ago on the show, but
we did, yeah.
I'm hard pressed to remember much about it at all.
It's just, I remember you didn't like it. I liked it. You didn't like it.
It's stricken from the record.
But yeah, so you were still watching the show around season 17, or was it just one that you may have just caught on TV?
Yeah, I think I was. I'd say more likely that I caught it on TV. If I'm home and got nothing on and it's on, I'll often just watch it. So what years do you think that would have come out? Season 17.
Since that episode aired 19th of March 2006. So I was just finishing high school then.
Yeah, I would have been just finished and working in kitchens and would have had nights off and
working in kitchens. Okay, so what were you a chef? What were you doing? Waiter?
Yeah. After school, I did commercial cookery and did that for about 5 years. Hated it, but didn't enjoy it. But met some great friends.
Hence comedy.
So that one here says, at an animal retirement home. So it's not a zoo, it's an animal retirement home. A monkey holds Bart hostage in her cage. Marge learns of the kidnapping on the news and must figure out a way to get her son back.
Yes.
Yeah. I just remember Bart Has Two Mummies. I was like, is he ribbing me? Is he joking here? I was like, well,
taking the piss.
Yeah, but no, we went with the Homer the Smithers. I gave you a few selections. You wanted a Homer episode. So is Homer a character you find that you relate to a lot more the older you get? Because I, as a kid, was very much Bart, and I found Homer funny. But the older I get now, I just go, well, I've become Homer. Yeah,
I always thought Homer was the funniest. I always thought his lines were, everything. So many of the punchlines are from him. So I think he always appealed to me. Yeah, and obviously Bart, when you're little, Bart is the rat bag, and you see yourself in him at times. But I would say Homer was always my favourite.
Did you ever like the Lisa episodes? Because I didn't as a kid. But again, as I get older, I really appreciate that I have a lot more in common with Lisa than I realised when I was younger.
Yeah. I like that Bleeding Gums Murphy one, and those ones. When I think of Lisa episodes, they're the ones that pop into my mind, and they're great.
Appropriately enough, they always feel like very eat your vegetables episodes. Like these are the ones that are going to be good for you or teach you something. As I said, appropriately enough, given Lisa's vegetarianism. But as you get a bit older as well, you realise sometimes you need some vegetables in your diet. Yeah.
Yes. I tell you what, I never warmed to. This might be controversial. I never warmed to the House of Horrors ones.
The Treehouse of Horror, really? Yeah, okay. See, I like them because they're just sort of...
Because each season would have one, wouldn't they?
They would, yeah. They started in season 2 and they're still doing to this day. And arguably, they're the ones that people get the most hyped for now because they're, the horror and they're different. Yeah. Because I think a lot of people aren't really watching the show as much as they used to. But the Treehouse of Horror seems to always be a standout and a bit of fun because they can sort of let loose a bit. But I always enjoyed the Treehouse of Horror. What do you think you didn't like about it? Are you just not a horror fan in general?
Yeah,
or?
Scorching hot take on your part, mate.
Well, it's not the horror. It was it was just that this is going to sound weird considering I'm watching a cartoon that's completely created from nothing. I didn't like that it was them not being themselves. They weren't being their character. They were being something. It was if it started and it was a House of Horrors episode, I'll be like, oh, and turn it off. I wouldn't bother.
I feel like you're the first person in the world I've ever spoken to who has said that.
I just like the traditional, each of them being themselves, a proper storyline. I didn't like the wackiness of it. I was like, no, man.
Well, it's actually really interesting you say that because this episode aired, Home of the Smithers, during season 7, and that's when two guys, Bill Oakley and Josh Weinstein, took over the show as the showrunners. They'd been writers of the show, and they got that gig just by being fans of the show, and they got into the writers' room, and then they were given the job of being showrunners. And when they took over here, they felt the show had become too wacky, and they wanted to take it back to being more grounded. They want to have 15 episodes, because there's 22 episodes in a season. They want 15 episodes based around the family, and then have your annual one. So you have your one Treehouse of Horror, you have your Itchy and Scratchy episode, your Sideshow Bob episode, that kind of thing. But they wanted to really focus on the emotional side of stories and just make it feel more realistic again. So I've always felt season 7 and 8 are my favourites when they were in charge of the show, and maybe you as well.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I didn't know those facts about writers and the changing, but yeah, I agree. Around that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is probably the most episodes I've rewatched.
Yeah, because Marge versus the Monorail, they say, is sort of like a turning point where they realise, we can just do anything now and get away with it. And that was written by Conan O'Brien. And great episode, people love it. But the thing is, Matt Groening wasn't the biggest fan. He always wanted to keep The Simpsons feeling like a real family, and it sort of swayed away from that to an extent. And then when Josh and Bill took over, they went, let's bring it back. And you get episodes like this, Home of the Smithers, an episode which they've said it was pitched by the next showrunner, Mike Scully, at the time. And they couldn't believe that it hadn't already been done. It just feels like such a basic, simple premise. Homer becomes Burns' assistant, and it hadn't been done. But I'm glad they waited this long, because if they had done this in like season 3 or 4, I don't think the relationship of Smithers and Burns would have been as fleshed out as what it was. And I think seeing them for so many years, just sort of Smithers' love for Burns and him relying on Burns just for a reason to live, and Burns relying on him to live, I think the eventual separation in this episode meant more as a result.
Yeah, and I love that it sets up little things like the way he feeds him and brushes his teeth and things that you think, well, he's been doing that for the last, he's been doing that since day one. All those times, all those other episodes we've watched, that's what's happened every morning. This has been going on. I love it.
And it's got that great combination, again, as I said before, of like, it's very heightened kind of comedy in terms of like, today I'm wearing the fangs, that kind of stuff, or even just brushing someone's teeth. But also, I think everyone can relate to the situation of being put into a job that's probably above your pay grade and you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And you're sort of bumbling through, and you want to get it right. You want to do it right for various reasons, but also it's like, I've got no idea what's going on here.
And even the burnout older now, I watched it again yesterday, and just the burnout for Smithers, like, is a real stress that people get. And as a kid or even a teenager watching that, you're not thinking about that element of it at all.
I think that ties into what you were talking about earlier, though. How about, with your comedy career, I think a lot of people, from the outside in would probably go, Daniel's got it made, gets to stand up on stage and just tell jokes. Fantastic. What a life. It's like, no, he's got to be his own marketing department, his own PR department, his own AV club, all this stuff. You know, I mean, I think it's very much the way of the world in the 2020s. Like, we're all working extremely hard and, you know, edging towards burnout all the time.
That's right. Yeah, it's never ending is a good way to put it, especially in the stand-up world. You kind of feel like you need to have your foot down the whole time, because if you take it off, you just sort of fall back in the pack. That's I don't think that's true, but that's the feeling
the way
you
it
have.
feels.
Yeah. In an industry where it's, you know, there's not a lot of opportunity for, you know, there's probably, say there's 50 spots for 1,000 people sort of thing is how you're led to believe. But I think having a little break every now and again is really good. I used to never do it, but now I make sure I have a week in the middle of the year and then 2 around Christmas and New Year's where I just don't even look at a email or joke, just get away.
I was going to say, because like I'm married with kids. I've got a 7-year-old, just turned 7-year-old, and a nearly 5-year-old. And I found, it would have been about 6 months ago, I was having real burnout, much like Smithers here, because I just wasn't giving myself any time. I almost felt like I didn't deserve the time, which is kind of like Smithers in this episode. I don't know why I felt that way, but whenever I would take time for myself, I would feel guilty. I would think, I should be mowing the lawns, or I should be folding the washing, or I should be doing this house chore. And I couldn't relax. Even when I was having downtime, I couldn't relax. But now I sort of go, no, one day a week, or even for a morning a week, just go do something. Go for a walk. Go play a game of golf. Go do something. And so much better for it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we're in the era of optimization, where if you're not making the most of every second, you've wasted it. So
yeah. And then you'll have a scroll on Instagram and there's some guy absolutely ripped. He's like, I was up at 4:30 this morning. I've had a workout, 2 workouts already, and my avocado on toast, and now I'm going to.
Why can't you do this, man?
Probably because I'm not making 10K a month, hustling the hustle bro lifestyle. Chumps. Oh dear.
Do you find it easy to switch off from comedy, or is it just always there, always thinking of gags? Are you able to sort of just turn it off?
No, much better now. That's come with time for sure. I used to not at all. I used to always be. I'd wake up and put a note in my phone at 2 a.m. just stuff like that, and as I said, it just got too much. So I'm much better now, where I'll just leave the phone and laptop in the bedroom and just get away from it. Sundays generally, because there's not really many comedy clubs on a Sunday night. Sundays generally is a day where you can really just switch off and you don't have to think about it, look at emails or anything.
What do you like with when you're writing a new gag? How much do you try and perfect it before you start testing it with people?
I kind of write it a couple of times, just pad and a pen, and I'll generally just go straight to stage with it. So long as it's got something in there that you can see that's a beginning, middle, and a punchline, I'll go straight to an open mic, in front of 12 people on a Monday night and just give it a run. Because the more you say it out loud, the better it forms. And then you kind of rewrite it again, maybe after 5 tries, and it's you think of your little tags. And so some people like to write till it's pretty much ready, but I like to just maybe write it out as it comes out and then start trying it, and you do it that way. And then by the sort of the 10th go and the maybe the 4th rewrite, it's pretty much locked in. You get it.
That's probably a much better approach as well, because if you think you've perfected a gag and then you test it and it bombs, it would probably hit your ego a bit, right?
Yeah. Got to get it up on its feet and let it breathe a bit.
Do you find many egos in comedy? You kind of have to have an ego, but do you find many in the Australian scene? Not about naming names, but do you find you come across some egos sometimes?
But no names if you want.
There's a few for sure, but it wouldn't be as many as you'd think. I don't think it's
okay.
It's generally like a pretty, even though it's cutthroat and everyone's gunning for similar things, it's a pretty nice industry. There's not too many massive egos, I feel like the time of the ego, especially I've noticed it in music and comedy, those days are a bit numbered for people with the big egos now. You kind of just sort of have to be a decent, and it just doesn't.
A nice person.
yeah. I just feel like the days of the divas and the idiots are gone. Like if you met, say you wrote down the 5 biggest names in Australian comedy and you met them, that you would find them all quite nice. I think you'd find. It's not really an industry where you can have a big ego and be a prick, because you get weeded out. You lose work because of it, because there's someone as good. There's someone that can, do your job right there. Probably 5 people that can do that job for you. You can't really afford to be a prick and lose it. So most people I think there's be people that come into the scene with an ego and can be a bit of a jerk, and they find out soon that you just can't survive that way.
Well, you mentioned balancing act before, and I think that's probably going to be vital, because, I mean, you're going to have some degree of ego in terms of backing yourself and having the confidence in yourself to be able to get up on stage and say, I'm going to make you laugh, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to say motherfucker, but or unless you're Bernie Mac. But at the same time, you can't let it sort of become your whole personality.
Yes, yeah.
Because as you said,
turn it on and turn it off. Yeah, you get there's definitely a different when you're on stage. You can create a confident persona, and sometimes even like an ego, or be a prick on stage, and that's what works for you. But the people you see on stage that you think, geez, they're like harsh, or you probably chat to them off stage and they're just quite normal and nice.
How important is using language during comedy for having an effective punchline or whatnot? I know, because sometimes, some comedians just don't want to swear at all, but some do. Like, do you find it helps you with punchlines sometimes? Do you use it?
I don't specifically write like, F-bombs, or, I never really say C-bomb. I don't actually write them down on paper. They just, personally, they just come with how I'm feeling. If I'm a bit ranty or, angry at something, they come out a bit more. If I'm just sort of setting up a punchline that's just about spiders, or, they don't come. It's just, it's interesting. I think if you force it and you write them down and you put them in there thinking that that's going to get you a laugh, maybe it doesn't work as well. That's definitely for me. Yeah, I've definitely noticed there's been times where early days, if you're a bit nervous, you say F this and F that. But after about 5 minutes, you're like, God, in your head, you're like, God, I'm saying that a lot. I need to stop saying it.
If you're self-aware, you're obviously saying it a lot.
Yeah. But over time, you just kind of get, now I know when to say it, and I don't really think I'm saying it. I've planned to say it. It just sort of comes out in the moment. And I think if I did, say you recorded the same 10-minute set 3 nights in a row, I think there'd be F-bombs at different times, and it wouldn't be the same sort of timings on the F-bombs.
You've got kids, right?
One, got a little boy.
One kid. So do you find now you've tried to train yourself not to swear? So maybe when you're doing your comedy, that's just sort of your way of just getting it all out. Because I find I swear a lot.
Yeah.
But when the kids are around, I'm going to try and control myself and hold it in. And then when the kids aren't around, I'm just like, fuck. I just sort of like, it just comes out naturally without even realizing.
To be honest, I think I swear the same around my son, to be honest.
I did until my wife slapped me across the back of the head, and I learnt I had to try and stop that.
Yeah. And you'll be like, oh.
It feels very organic. I mean, not to spoil anything from Little Aussie Battler, but when you're sort of talking about Cody from Foot Locker, and sort of what you wish for him in the future, it's kind of like, that feels like something that came completely off the cuff, felt completely natural.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Sometimes you just, you're feeling it.
All right. Did we have any favourite moments from this episode? I know you did, Guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Shall I go first?
Go first.
I think we're all very much relating to Homer in this. And as I mentioned before about, thrust into a position of responsibility that you are just unsuited for. The bit where he says to Burns, can you repeat the part of the stuff where you talked about all the things? It's like, that's me at so many jobs.
What's the thing? Homer wasn't stupid in this episode. He was actually very relatable. He was trying. It's just sometimes you just can't do the job.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's around when he sticks his head out the window and as Smithers is leaving, and what do I do in case of fire?
That's it, and you get a great callback later on with that when he's actually making breakfast and everything's on fire, which is marvelous. By the way, you see that his dedication to duty when he actually shows up to make breakfast that first day. I think that's the first time I've ever seen Homer in long sleeves.
Yeah, maybe
in a long sleeve shirt, because normally he's got the
unless he's at church or whatnot.
Yeah, but normally he's got the Sipowicz.
Yeah,
he's got the short sleeve shirt, but it's like, oh, he's going up in the world. He's gone pro. Look, a lot of my stuff is Homer, really. And it's all these great lines that would feel perfectly suited to any classic sitcom. I mean, they're almost sort of like vaudeville gags or just, classic old-time stand-up gags.
Yes.
I mean, the bit where it's like, read me the paper and, how are my stocks doing? They all won.
Yeah.
Well, what are your options? What about my options? Well, you can either get up or go back to sleep. Oh, my God. That you get to hear the rim shot in your head. Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm sure Dando's going to want to talk about the cube.
No, that's right. It's right. The cube. You can go with the cube. We'll do it together.
We'll all talk about the cube because that's gold standard joke telling as far as I'm concerned.
The fact that Burns, when the phone rings, he says, "Is it about my cube?" Like you believe it. Like you went with it. He's like he's accepted this fate.
Yeah. And just a great visual gag in this as well when Smithers has been fired and like any big corporation is going to be happy to get a guy like Smithers. Think he's going to go work for AT&T? No, he's going to go work for Neat and Tidy Piano Movers. That's just a really spot-on visual gag as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, these are my favourites, but there's going to be more to talk about as we go through, I'm sure.
Did you have any particular favourites, Daniel?
Well, yeah, just to touch on when Homer gets up to go to cook the breakfast for Burns and he gets up at 4:30 and Marge says it's 4:30. Little Rascals doesn't start till 6. It's beautiful.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that because I love that as well. It just reminds me of getting up early to watch, the start of Cheese TV or Oz Aerobics or whatever.
He's getting up to watch Little Rascals is just brilliant. I really like the start at the drag race. Burns pays for them, all the staff, to have a day out at the drag races at the Speedway. And he's drinking beer from like a teaspoon. Smithers is feeding Burns beer from a teaspoon, and he's giving me no buzz. Nothing's happening. Better grab the tablespoon.
Not feeling younger or funkier.
Yeah. And he gets the cars to slow down as well because he can't see them.
And I just love Homer for no reason. It's not even acknowledged. He's just got a big giant novelty hat on. All right, let's get into some trivia, shall we?
Oh yeah, sure.
Or did you have any more favorite moments, Daniel?
There was. I really liked when Homer knocks out Mr. Burns.
So believable, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like you would want to do that.
From being so frustrated, being bossed around, and he runs home, and then it cuts to Smithers. He's driving a speedboat, and he senses that something's not right.
It's like Obi-Wan and Luke.
Yeah, and he stops the speedboat, and then you see
with that pyramid of dudes.
Yeah, a pyramid of guys in swimsuits pile up behind him. Yeah, it's brilliant.
I really liked when Homer got home. He just slams the door and just cowers in the corner. Marge's like, "You okay? Oh, is something wrong?"
Yeah.
No, except.
That was a really sweet moment as well. I mean, it's great when your partner or your wife or whoever just sort of, well, it's clearly there's something wrong with them, but you're just gradually teasing it out, like, except. It's a bit, sort of infantilizing, but at the same time, it's like sometimes you need that from your partner.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, trivia time. My first question for you all is, why is Daredevil Lance Murdoch in the hospital? So the Speedway's a fundraiser for him. He's got something wrong with him.
Oh, good one.
It's cirrhosis of the liver.
liver.
And then Homer's, woo, liver.
Is that right at the start when they announce it over the...
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of my favorites as well, just the announcer at the Speedway just putting everything.
Yeah.
Repeating it three times.
And Smithers cutting it down later on. It's already here. We have to keep hustling.
Why do you have to keep hustling these people?
Your first question.
My first question. We're back at the Speedway. There's a brand of malt liquor advertised on the side of one of the hot rods. What brand of malt liquor is it?
No, I've got no idea.
No, me neither. I remember seeing the logo, but...
Yeah, it's Kingpin malt liquor. There was a lot of good advertising. I think you saw Laramie cigarettes on the side of one of them. But this was Kingpin malt liquor.
All right. How old is Mr. Burns' mother?
Oh, yeah. 124?
Oh, close. 122. Good guess.
122.
Yeah. She's 122. Try and sound more desecrated.
Did they say he's 104 in that episode?
104, yeah. And they're very fluid with his age. Like, it's always changing. But one of the things about this episode was it gave Bill and Josh, because they're big fans of old-timey Burns, it gave them a chance to really showcase just, the ahoy, hoy, answering the phone, just things like that, showcase. And the fact that she had the affair with President Tate, I believe it was, who was the president from 1909 to 13. I think I looked it up, yeah.
That was President Taft.
Taft, you dog.
That old dog. My next question to you is, how many times did the phone ring before it picked up?
Oh,
I think I know.
I think 48 was it?
Yeah.
48 is correct.
Correct. Well done. All right. My final question is, how many names appeared on the list when Smithers was doing the search engine trying to find a replacement?
It's like 5 or 6, wasn't it?
No, 714.
Because what he initially like, okay, typing in incompetent
Yeah.
714. Then he adds all the other search terms
Dim-witted,
like
lazy,
dim-witted,
yeah.
obese. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like 714.
I thought that was a really clever way of just because, of course, Homer's going to be the one getting chosen. It's just like, to hell with this. I'll just go get Homer Simpson. It's just an easy crutch, but it works. Yeah.
Well, I love when Homer gets the job and it cuts to him sitting at the dinner table. He says, everyone has to work. Everybody says they have to work harder when I'm around. That's why I got
Yes,
the job.
that's one of the old-timing quotes. That one is there for sure. It's like one of the ones of the inspirational posters you get on The Simpsons. You know,
Yeah.
that's one of the top-tier Homer quotes. But all right, so this episode originally aired February 25th, 1996, the top 3 films at the US box office when this episode aired. Number 3 was Muppet Treasure Island. Now, I'm a obsessed, die-hard Muppet fan. Loved the Muppets as a kid. I've never seen Muppet Treasure Island.
One with it's got Tim Curry. I think,
Tim Curry
as
yeah.
Long John Silver or something.
I don't
or
know
Blackbeard.
why I missed it, but I've never gone back to revisit it. It's in my Disney Plus watch list. I just haven't watched it yet. But yeah, Muppet Treasure Island was number 3. Number 2 was Broken Arrow with Travolta and
Christian Slater,
which is a fine 1990s action flick. It was a bit wacky, but it'll do. I mean, and number 1 was Rumble in the Bronx, which I had no idea what it was, but this guy here, he knows everything about movies. So tell us, Rumble in the Bronx.
It's Jackie Chan.
Yeah, I looked it up. Yeah, it's his it's his breakthrough film, right?
Yeah, he tried to break into the US market after being just a huge star in Hong Kong for so many years, and they, he was in the Cannonball Run with Burt Reynolds and Roger Moore back in the early '80s, and he was in some other action movie set in New York. But I think the '90s was a real push to sort of bring Asian action cinema into the US, and so they gave Jackie another shot. This is pre-Rush Hour that he was doing with Chris Tucker.
So what year was it again?
That was 96.
This is 96.
February 25th, 96.
Wow.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, it's called Rumble in the Bronx, and it is clearly Vancouver, Canada. This looks nothing like the Bronx.
So is it a dubbed film?
No, like it's
So
it's made in America, and Jackie had a decent enough grasp of English.
So it wasn't English dubbed.
No.
Okay.
It's a US movie, North American movie, but with Jackie Chan as the star.
Right.
Okay, so everyone's speaking English.
They are.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because apparently it was a huge success.
Yeah, right. I can't believe that 90s period had so many of the greatest films of all time. And when you,
I agree.
and
Yes.
I haven't heard of or seen any of those 3 films.
See, I hadn't seen So this man here, he is the movie guy, right? He knows
Yep.
everything about movies. He's reviewed movies for a living for what, 25 years plus?
Something like that.
Right. So he always says, he knows I love 90s action flicks, like your Con Airs and your
Yes.
Face-Offs and that kind of stuff, right? That's why I always say like the Aussie 90s Australian summer doubleheader was always Face Off and Con Air. Every summer you got it on Channel 7. But I had no idea about films like Broken Arrow and whatnot, and he always recommends them. And I had never heard of it either. But it's if you like Con Air and Face Off, you're gonna love Broken Arrow. It's just that kind of genre.
Great. What year was Last Boy Scout?
That's 91, I believe.
That feels like mid-90s to me, but it was a lot earlier. But yeah, what's your favorite like genre of film, Daniel? Is it that kind of 90s action flick, or what's your go-to?
I call that when back then. If I go to a film now, I really like things that are true stories made into films, like drama. I really like I just recently watched the Jordan, the Nike film. Movies like that. The true stories, adapted into. What was the other one? The I always
say Moneyball.
Moneyball's great. I always forget the name of the film, but the one with Richard Jewell. I really like that.
Yeah.
Movies
What
like
film was that?
It's called Richard Jewell.
It's called Richard Jewell. Okay.
Yeah. That's
Directed by Clint Eastwood.
Yes.
There's one coming out that you might like. It's got I think Channing Tatum's the star in it, right? The guy that broke out of prison and he hides in a Toys R Us store or something.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
Roof Man.
Yeah, I'd
Rob
watch that.
McDonald's franchises.
He used to hide out in the toilets in McDonald's, and then when they'd open up the store, he'd come out and rob them. But he was really nice about it. He'd just put them in the cool room and say, "Just stay here, you'll be fine. I'm just going to take some money," and he'd leave. And he became like the McDonald's thief. And then he broke out of prison and hid in a roof of a Toys R Us for like how long?
Oh,
A long time.
yeah. But he was always like, "Okay, I'm going to put you in the cool room, layer up. Okay, oh, you didn't bring a jacket. Okay, you can have my jacket."
But yeah, that movie's coming out soon. That's the kind of film you probably like, Roof Man. Yeah,
I'll check that out.
Alrighty. This episode was written by John Swartzwelder, one of the most iconic Simpsons writers of all time, directed by Stephen Dean Moore as well. No chalk gag, but this one has the couch gag where the Simpsons are driving to the couch in their little mini cars and they're wearing fezzes.
Yeah. Do you know about these guys? I mean,
About fezzes?
no. Well, what they're doing here, this is a group called the Shriners.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sort of like they're a bit like an offshoot of the Freemasons. Yeah, but because I saw this and I'm like, this looks familiar to me for some reason. I mean, it's not just sort of like a circus kind of thing, but yeah,
I was getting circus vibes.
yes,
Sure.
but Shriners International describes itself. This is from Wikipedia, which, as we all know, is 100% accurate. Describes itself as a global fraternity, quote, based on fun, fellowship, and the Masonic principles of brotherly love, relief, and truth. Wow. Yeah, but apparently they will have, when parades were a thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
I miss parades.
Yeah, we don't really have them as much as they used to, but the Shriners would be there, and they'd be in these little cars, and they'd be wearing their fezzes. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a shout out to the Shriners, whether Swartzwelder was actually a member of the Brotherhood or who knows. But
Why don't
or
we
just
have-
a fun visual gag.
Why don't we have parades anymore? Is it just people just don't want to go outside and wait and watch things? Well, what is it?
Probably OH&S.
More fun stuff on TikTok.
Something to do with costs, surely.
Yeah, it's always about costs. It's always about the money, yes.
Yeah, and that's where's the optimization in a parade? You could be, could be doing some push-ups.
Yeah.
But Burns welcomes all the employees to the drag racing event that he is fully paid for. That's one of the downfalls, I guess, of not working for somebody now, like doing podcasting full time, is the Christmas parties and whatnot. There's like getting all expenses paid for stuff, yeah. But Evan Smithers, he has to warm up the crowd by using the microphone, and he has to read from cue cards, even waiting for his name. My name is Monty Burns. So it's basically, he's just setting up here that he's utterly hopeless. He needs Smithers for absolutely everything. Homer's sitting there with his novelty hat. Marge is just really excited to be there. She's getting out of the house, but she misses the race completely because she's too busy talking about being a hot mama.
Being a hot rod mama.
Hot rod mama, yeah.
It's always very sweet when Marge is trying to, use the kids' lingo.
Yeah, never works. But Smithers is giving Burns, as you were saying earlier, Daniel, his Duff beer by the teaspoon, but he doesn't feel any younger or funkier, so he pumps it up to the tablespoon. Now it's time for the Power Plant Championship, so he gets Smithers to get his binoculars. Now, what are binoculars compared to binoculars? Is it just the what? Because he says, get my binoculars.
I'm guessing just an early version of binoculars. Yeah, it's they struck me as that kind of thing that rich old ladies would use at the opera.
Yeah, those little things like that, yeah. Yeah. But Burns demands they go slower so he can keep up, and yeah, they go really slow. What are they called? Like the parachute?
The parachute, yeah.
Parachute doesn't even go off. Now everyone's leaving. Burns has his novelty foam hand, but he's not a fan of the size of it, so he demands Smithers go get a smaller one.
And it's a bit ostentatious.
Yes, so Smithers goes to get it, and this is where we get a really iconic Lenny moment. Lenny's one of my favourite sub-characters, but he rocks up, and he just wants to... He's not doing anything wrong. He just wants to thank Burns. He had a great time. Granted, his breath smells of beer and pretzel bread, but he just wants to say thank you, give him a big thumbs up, great swell shindig, thank you very much, and he's just terrified of him, isn't he?
Well, that's the great thing about Christmas parties as well, though. I mean, the great and terrible thing about Christmas parties, everybody gets a few drinks in. It's the great disinhibitor and democratizer. It's like, you may be earning like 100 times what I'm earning, but you're just a guy like me. And then you've got no job the next year. But I've seen this happen more than once, at Christmas parties. Whenever, you get a few drinks in, you get a little merry, and you realise, you're just a guy, I'm just a guy.
And you get to work the next day.
And what?
Do you have any Christmas party stories, Daniel?
I remember I had a job in health insurance when I moved to Melbourne to chase comedy, and I was working in call centers and things, and we had a Christmas party where the boss by the end of the night had his shirt off and like was whipping it around his head like a button-up shirt, just all his full chest exposed, dancing and stuff. And
was he a bro though, or was he an office guy?
It was uncharacteristic. Yeah, it was definitely it was definitely alcohol that did the job. But yeah, everybody liked him enough that it wasn't a big deal. I'm sure he would have got some, talking to the next day from the higher ups, but we all, it was always, the running
at this
gag.
stage, not an HR violation.
No, today probably be a bit more frowned upon. That's going back 12 or 13 years, but it got referenced a lot after that.
Working in a call center, is as mundane as it seems?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Especially in health insurance too, where people are calling with serious, it's some of the things you have to talk about. Sad. Wasn't the most enjoyable job.
Not a great inspiration for your comedy routine there.
No, didn't get a lot of gags out of it.
But it means to an end, and now you're a comedy superstar, so it all paid off. But yeah, so he's terrified by Lenny here. Lenny's doing absolutely nothing wrong. Smithers arrives. Oh my god! And we get the big Lenny thumbs up. I'm not sure if you're very much over the Simpsons meme groups, but the Lenny thumbs up is a GIF and a screenshot that gets used all the time. I just love Lenny. Like, who do you think is some of your favorite side characters, Daniel? Like Lenny for me just seems like, if anyone asks me who do you think you would be friends with, it just feels like Lenny's the go-to.
Yeah. Lenny and Carl, you want to know how they live and what's going on behind the scenes. I can't remember any specific. Was there many Lenny-centric episodes where he's
not Lenny-centric episodes? There was sort of, how that in the opening act they sometimes have mini plots that set up the main plot. Sometimes you got ones like that, but the recurring gag for Lenny now, or was during the post Golden era, was the can't get things in his eye. Yeah. So you get things would always be getting in his eye, and then we had the big please don't tell people how I live. Which is when he's just squatting in the house at Marge trying to sell stuff like that. But he never really had a Lenny episode up until we're done season 21 now. We still haven't really had a Lenny episode, have we?
Not really. I mean,
he's been part of the story, but not a Lenny episode.
I think there was one I remember where it was he was sort of responsible for the inciting incident where I think everyone came over to his place. He had the new TV, which was a big step up from don't tell anyone how I live. Now the guy's got a flat screen plasma. Nice work, Lenny.
Yeah,
but
I would say. Lenny, probably a Snake, I would say, would be a favourite.
Really?
Yeah, I really like Snake. And I also really like, the Gil, who's just always, he's... Yes. Oh, another one that I loved? And I don't think he's in many episodes, but you'll know him for sure. Yes, that guy. It's like...
Yeah. Just, yes, man.
Yeah, and then I think the Spanish one, he's like, see... Yeah. I always loved that guy when he popped up. Yeah, because
it just feels like one of those characters because that's Dan, the voice of Homer, Dan Castellaneta. It just feels like one of those things that he was just improvising one day, just going yes, and they're like, that is so good. We're turning that into a character.
Yeah. And he looks like such a dodgy guy.
Yeah. Oh, there was I think it was Jack Benny, who was like a fairly famous American comedian who actually used that as a bit of a catchphrase. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Oh, it's great. I love it. Yes. But Burns is terrified on the way home. He should have seen the murderous look in his eye. His breath smelled of reeked of beer and pretzel bread. And Smithers blamed himself. He goes, I should never have left you alone. But Burns, I love that Burns just has a mace ready to go, just ready to hit somebody. But he says, I'll never forgive myself. And he says, never, 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 bangs his head. Burns has had enough, puts the little mirror wall thing up in the middle of the limo, and he calls him up on the phone, continues saying, never, never, never. So we're just they're setting up here that I don't think Burns truly appreciates everything Smithers does for him. That's the thing. Like Smithers just does it. It's just expected. Like it's just not really acknowledged. It's just, this is all done for me, and that's just part of life, but it's not really how it should be. But then Smithers is trying to grovel the following morning. He's alphabetized his breakfast. You can start with the waffles and work your way up to the swieback. Now, what is a swieback? I looked it up, and it just looked like some form of like bread thing.
It's like a biscotti.
Okay.
It's a bit like it's a very overbaked kind of biscuit.
Yeah, all right then. Yeah. I just love that, alphabetized from W to Z. Now, he's also laminated the newspaper, but unfortunately Burns can't do the junior jumble now, so Smithers has had enough. He says, I'm not worth living anymore, attempts to drown himself in the water tank, and Burns is just like, you're drama queen, empties it out. He says Smithers needs a vacation, but he says, no, without you I'll wither and die. And he says, well, it's a risk I'm willing to take. You must take a vacation as soon as you find a replacement for me.
I love Smithers just saying, I can't even grovel properly.
Yeah. But This is where Smithers is looking up replacements, ones who won't outshine him. He looks up incompetent, 714 names. He's going to narrow it down to lousy, clumsy, dim-witted, monstrously ugly. So we get 714 names. So he says, that's this, I'll just go get Homer Simpson. And I just love that as a crutch of, well, we got to get to Homer. How can we do it? Smithers just picks him. Yeah. That's it. And you mentioned this earlier, Daniel. This is the dinner scene where Homer's like, I think he chose me for my motivational skills. Everyone has to work harder when I'm around. And Lisa thinks it will give his career a real shot in the arm. And then Marge enters the room, having gone to get food from the kitchen, says the same thing. She's like, I just said that. So she tells her to go get her own darn corn. It's pretty harsh to Marge in this episode.
I never really got that joke.
Yeah, it doesn't really go anywhere, does it?
No.
Yeah, it's just sort of, mean for the sake of mean. But Homer's not paying any attention to Smithers when he is running through all of the various jobs, the 2,800 various jobs that he has to do. So he says you got to be answering the phone, preparing his tax return, moistening his eyeballs, assisting with his chewing and swallowing, lying to Congress, and some light typing. And I just love
Great
that
button.
when he's going through all these tasks, he fixes one of the frames, like straightens up. It's like even when he's going through all these things, he's always on. He can't switch off. He's always fixing something, making sure it's perfect for Burns. Then the phone rings, and it is Mr. Burns' mum. And Homer can't believe she's alive. What do you mean? She must be 100 million years old. She has limited capacities. All she can do is dial and yell. So he says that Monty is in an important meeting. He can't be disturbed, but he's actually just asleep in his office. He just can't talk to her ever since he shared that affair with President Taft. And you old dog.
Taft, that old dog.
Yes. But as I was saying earlier, 1909 to 1913, just showcasing how old Burns is.
Yeah. It's a great, I love that scene there where he can't speak. He's in a meeting that shows him at his desk and he's falling asleep.
Yes.
And then waking himself up. But when he wakes up, he's angry. He goes back to his factory setting and then falls asleep again, then wakes up angry.
So they're little details that when you're a kid watching, they're just, straight over your head. You're not paying attention to that. I think when you're a kid watching episodes like this, it's just Homer's silly. That's the gag here. And but the older you get, you just really appreciate everything that's going into the writing of this show. It's fantastic. But Burns is, sorry.
And you almost pick up on them subliminally, like I was saying before. if you're watching this as a kid, and you're seeing it on repeat as well, because 10 will, often sort of recycle these episodes.
6 p.m. weeknights.
Yeah, you'd just be like, just sort of catching it out of the corner of your eye or something, and then next thing you know, it's your favourite gag.
Yeah. And as you're saying, the older you get, you watch episodes, and there's jokes that you have probably watched 1,000 times, but you've never actually realised. And then it's almost like the penny finally drops, and you go, "Oh, yeah, that's been there as well." I just love that you can watch The Simpsons 30 years later and still find jokes that you never realised all this time.
Yeah.
But Smithers is now leaving for the airport. Homer doesn't know 2,700 of the new duties out of the 2,800. So which one is giving you the most trouble? What do I do in case of fire? Smithers can't hear. He leaves, turns around. Burns' office is just on fire. That's the kind of gag you can only really do in an animated series. It's so good. Yeah. But I do love that when we come back from commercial, Homer is putting out the fire.
Yeah.
Burns then says, "Oh, Smithers, you look atrocious." He's already forgotten that Homer is his replacement, and he orders his lunch. He wants a single pillow of shredded wheat, steamed toast, and a dodo egg. Tries to explain to Burns that it's extinct. I love that even Homer is smart enough to know that the dodo doesn't exist anymore. It's almost like Burns just everything that's happened post like 1920 just doesn't exist in his mind.
Well, that's the kind of thing that happens if you get a few more miles on the meter. You get a bit of a shut-off point where it's like, okay, this is when music peaked. All right, anything beyond this is garbage. I don't care about Sabrina Carpenter or Gracie Abrams. They don't exist.
Who?
See what I mean? Yeah, but Burns is of an age where it's like, well, when I was a young man and virile, dodo eggs were all the go. So clearly they're still a big thing.
At what age, Daniel, were you where you realised you weren't with it anymore? As in terms of like...
It happened to you.
Yeah.
In the last couple of years, I reckon. Yeah.
For me as well. Yeah. I'm just turned 37. And my kids are sort of like, can we watch K-pop and the Demon Hunters? And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm out of touch.
Even I know it's called K-pop Demon Hunters, man.
Or whatever.
I've written a couple of new gags recently about losing touch and having conversation with my niece, and she's 22, and she said, "Stop capping, you'll crash out if you don't slurp on the uptake," or something like that. And I was just like, "Well, she's had a stroke. What's happened there?"
This does not compute.
Yeah. So I just can't.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Yeah. I was too scared to ask. Yeah.
Yeah.
Daniel, you've got your old man hat on.
Yeah.
Can I put my old man hat on for a moment? Because I got no problem with the kids having the slang.
Yep.
so to speak. But I do not like when existing terms are repurposed to mean something completely different. Though.
Yeah.
If you're crashing out, you're having a nap.
Exactly.
Or you're like, I'm exhausted, I'm going to crash out.
Yeah.
When the kid's using it, it's kind of like, oh, I'm fired up, I'm angry about something, apparently.
Yeah, losing it. Yeah, that's unfair.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I'm sure our parents were saying the same thing when we were growing up in the 90s, though.
A legend has always been a legend, though, you know?
How often, though, do you find songs from your childhood that you loved? And then, because I now hate it when new songs repurpose songs from like my childhood, right? I go, no, I know the original. But I used to love songs when I was a kid that was repurposed from when my mum and dad were kids as well.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, oh, I'm just becoming my mum and dad now. I'm getting old.
I'll show my age when is it the Kid Rock song, and it starts off with the riff from Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
And you think, oh man, I'm getting some Skinner, fantastic. Then all of a sudden Kid Rock kicks in. It's like, what the fuck?
But Homer wakes here. He wakes up at 4:30 and he can't put his pants on. He's just too tired. Marge says, yeah, Little Rascals doesn't start till 6. What were the shows that you used to get up early for? You were excited if you woke up early and you're like, oh yes, I'm going to be able to watch this. For some reason, I don't know what it was, but when I was a kid, I'd wake up. I knew it was really early if like Thunderbirds was still on TV. Like Thunderbirds just seemed to be the show that always got repeated really early in the morning.
Always super early. And He-Man, I loved He-Man in the morning before school. And, you know, on Saturday mornings before I used to play footy, and it'd get up, it was still dark, and I'd watch the replay of It's a Knockout from the night before.
Oh, really?
It's a Knockout would be on it, 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning.
Just yeah, okay. I have a good memory from when I was a kid. Remember Agro's Cartoon Connection? Remember that show?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I loved that when I was a kid. But there was a Bill and Ted animated series. It only had one season, but I loved it when I was a kid. But it was always the first cartoon they would put on. It was like 6 a.m. or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it was just too early for me when I was a little kid. So my dad used to, before he'd go for work, record it for me. So one of my favorite memories as a kid was getting up and seeing and pushing stop and then rewinding back to the start and watching the show that my dad had taped for me on. It was almost like a little thing we had.
That's
it was like
nice.
Before he went to work, he used to hit record and made sure that I got to see my Bill and Ted because it was too early for me.
That's awesome.
That's his love language.
Yeah. But yeah, so Homer attempts to make breakfast here and everything catches on fire. I just love that the first two make sense. You know, the stove, you know, then he smashes the microwave on fire, cornflakes, fire.
Just combust as well. No
exactly,
sauce.
Yes. But he gives up, so he enters with lard lad donuts and Burns here. I don't like ethnic food. So he asks, this is where he asks how his stock did. And yeah, you were touching this earlier. Fantastic. Just what are my options? So great, isn't it?
We can get up, we can go back to sleep. Just the delivery of it, that's just, absolute gold medal stuff from Dan C.
He has to scrub the layer of dead skin off and then he puts the fangs in. I love that Burns just sits there and waits for the mouth to be closed. Needs everything done for him.
The bit I love though is when you hear Burns saying, "Yep, get that layer of dead skin off." Just hear the home.
Yes,
just so grossed out.
So he calls Simpson from his office. You know, Simpson. Homer just doesn't hear it or he's just oblivious. So he realizes he has to get up and go talk to him. And he asks if he got the report from the accounting department. And he just basically gives him the out of office message, doesn't he? Clearly called him outside of work hours. So he scrunches that up and puts it into the bin. Then we get which I think for me is like the moment of the episode. It's the cube moment.
Oh, yeah.
You have 30 minutes to move your car. Your car's been impounded. Your car's been crushed into a cube. You have 30 minutes to move your cube. Phone rings. Is it about my cube? Again, like Homer's trying at least, right?
Oh God,
he's dumb, but he's trying. And that's what you got to love about it. You know, I always say to my kids at school, I'm like, I don't care if you don't do well, as long as you're trying. If you're trying and failing, fail, right? Yeah. But don't go to school and not try. I know. How old's your son?
He's
Daniel?
5.5. Yeah.
So he'd be at school now, right? What, grade 1?
No, he's next year.
Oh no, big prep, right?
Yeah, he's in 1 year to go of kinder.
Oh, he's still in kinder. Okay,
Yeah,
so you haven't got the school part yet.
No.
Yeah. Is he reading and writing yet? He maybe just learning to read and write?
Writing's pretty good. Reading's getting there, yeah.
Yeah, man, everything changes when they can read and when they can spell. So you know how you sometimes you want to say stuff that the kids aren't allowed to know, so you spell it out. Once that's out the window, it's like, oh, now we've got no Morse code anymore. We can't talk anymore. Yeah, the kids now are taking advantage of home. Or before that though, we get Smithers calling. Is this where we get the 48 rings?
No, that's a bit later.
Oh no, he's just called.
That's post-punch.
That's coming up. Yeah, first of all, Smithers calls. I did love the first visual. Is that Smithers still can't switch off. He's there with his suitcase, in his suit, in his work suit, on this island resort.
That's right.
Yeah. Beach volleyball. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. He's like, do you want to FedEx your mail to me? I'll open it and return it to you. And Burns like, no, it's all right. He says Homer's getting dumber by the minute, and Homer walks off sad. So it's affecting Homer here. Yeah.
This isn't when he's in the he's on the payphone next to the dance floor.
No, that's not yet.
No, okay,
that's when he's lowered his guard a bit and he's having a bit of fun. He's in his
He's
Hawaiian
about to be in the
suit.
conga line, yeah.
Yeah. So the kids are now taking advantage of Homer. He's tired. They ask him to do his homework, get a ride to the library. Marge is like, you need to relax, but he's not, I can't do that. So she says, Simpson, lie down. So as it like burns, so he lays down. Then we hear the giant bell ringing. Well, it sounds like a giant bell, but it's just a little bell from his bed. And he says, the phone's ringing, answer it. And this is where we get the 48 rings. Is everything okay? He says, the Homer is an absolute buffoon, but he says he wants lots of pics when you return. And this is, I think it's very important here. I did have this in my notes at the start, that usually we get the Smithers is gay for Burns gags, right? And we didn't get any of that here. We get the Smithers is gay gags, which is what we get here, because it goes, photo taking isn't allowed in this particular resort, but we don't get...
Also, they're playing Relax by Frankie Goes to Hollywood, which is scientifically proven to be the gayest song ever recorded.
But we don't get Smithers is gay for Burns here, because they always feel weird, those gags to me anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it was a gag on 30 Rock when one of the writers, Frank, was kind of like, there was some delivery guy who used to come around. He's like, yeah, I think I'm gay for this guy. And he's like, I'm not gay. I'm just gay for Jamie. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think that, for a long time was like Smithers, we're not sure of his sexuality. He's just got this infatuation with Mr. Burns. It's like, no, Smithers likes dudes.
But then Homer arrives the next day, just before he walks in, he sort of shudders. So it's now clearly affecting him. And we just get a montage here of Burns ranting at him. So 60 watts. What do you think? This is a tanning salon? You want a light starch on his nightcap. You call this postum. You call this a tax return. You call this a supercomputer. Just sort of throwing things at Homer. Eventually, Homer just loses it and punches him out.
Nice little gag about Burns being old. You mentioned Postum, which is a brand of caffeine, a powdered caffeine-free roasted grain beverage, which sounds delightful. Invented by C.W. Post in 1895 as a healthier alternative to coffee.
Oh, there we go.
So yeah, I mean, would have been all the rage, when Monty's coming up.
Well, this episode aired in 96. They're technically saying that he was born in 1892. Yeah. Okay. So that all makes sense. All stuff from his childhood. That's all the only stuff you can remember. But yeah, this is where Burns he hits Burns, worries, and runs home. Yeah.
I'd honestly forgotten about the punch to the face. I thought it was just like he would have pushed him over or something.
In anger. No, he levels him.
Yeah, it's an absolute. Yeah.
And if you're watching this for the first time, you'd be like, shit.
Oh,
killed him.
Well, especially because, Burns has been presented as so old and frail. It's like, a good right cross to the face is just going to take this boy out.
Yeah. As we were saying earlier, Homer runs home, hides behind the door, except I killed Mr. Burns. They say, well, maybe you just really hurt him. Go and apologize. Maybe he won't fire you. So Homer goes back. And I love it was just the use of sound here. So he opens the door, you can't see anything, and you just hear the heavy breathing of Burns, just worried, and you see him cowering in the corner behind the pot plant. He says he can't stand another beating. He's like, I'll help you. Let me put some salt on that eye. So he tries to call Smithers. And this is a great sort of callback to a running gag throughout The Simpsons, which is the Bart prank calls to Moe. So he tries to call Smithers by dialing the numbers in the order of Smithers. He calls Moe's Tavern. I want a Mr. Smithers, first name Waylon, and Moe goes on his rant. So this is where Burns panics, hangs up the phone. He's like, Smithers, where are you? And we get the moment you're talking about where he's driving a speedboat. Mr. Burns needs me, and all the dudes fall onto the boat.
That was a good Smithers. By the way, I love Moe's line about when he's getting all fired up about getting this prank phone call, ripping his eyes out, shoving him down his pants so he can see me kick his ass.
Yes, but. This is where we have Homer. But Burns is scared in the office. He doesn't want to leave in case Homer's out there. He puts the mirror under the door. Homer's there, and he says, "Look, you want me to make you a coffee?" He's like, "No. The percolations are imminent. I'm making my own coffee. Cease your ingress." So Homer then walks off. And Homer enters, and it's just coffee everywhere. Burns says he stomped the beans himself, and he offers to drive Burns home, but he says, "No. I'm going to chauffeur myself." He's too scared of Homer, and this is where Burns realizes, doing shit for myself is actually good. I actually can do this. I don't need Smithers, essentially. But Burns he's got a new lease on life now. I love that. I'm actually enjoying this.
Yeah. Can we give a shout out to Velocitator and Decellatrix?
Oh, yes.
Accelerator and brake. I'm sorry. We used to make things in this country, as I like to say. But, it'd be great if you could say that was your car. It's like, all right, foot to the floor. I'm really hitting the Velocitator.
Yes. So he says he's making incredible time.
Yeah. That's where he nearly hits Wiggum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice driving, Mr. B.
That's some nice reckless driving there, Mr. B.
Well, that's a little bit. Is that a callback? Is Mother Simpson after or before this episode? Because we established in the episode where Homer's mum comes that Wiggum used to work for Burns. Remember?
Oh, that's right.
That's why. That's why he refers to him as Mr. B. Mr. B. Yeah. So the next morning, Burns has already shredded the environmental reports and thrown him out the window. He offers Homer his own cappuccino. He knows how to make cappuccino. He answers the phone and ahoy hoy. That's one of my favorite Burnses ever. Just ahoy hoy. It's just apparently that's what they is it Bell?
Alexander Graham Bell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how he suggested you answer the phone.
Yeah, he's like instead of
right.
hello, that was the original hello. That's what the
awesome.
suggestion was. That's where the gag comes from. Yeah. So that he says this is 5246. He's got the wrong number. Anyway, so then he says, Homer, you've done more for me than any other man on this planet. Your brutal attack forced me to look after myself. Being waited on hand and foot is fine for your average Joe, but it's not for me. And this is where he thanks him, and Smithers walks in and sees Burns cuddling Homer, saying thank you, and he thinks everything's wrong. He says, well, now he sends Homer back to his job. He says, you heard the man Simpson, and Smithers, you're not in it at all. You're fired. You shouldn't have gone away on vacation. Now, that is a setup for a gag later on with you really blew it this time. But we're at dinner, and Homer, he feels remorseful. He feels sad that he's the reason that Smithers has got fired. And we get kind of a sad Marge moment again here. And it's like, imagine, Marge, if you got fired from those things that you do, and Bart's like, quick, Mum, whip up a cake before Dad fires you. Like, there's levels to that gag. It's actually really sad that all I think Marge is worth is cooking. But anyway.
There's a couple of great... I love I think there's 2 or 3 moments in this episode where Smithers does the, oh my God, like he drops something and panics. He drops his bag and it's just got 4 pineapples in it.
4 pineapples. That's what I was just about to say. What a great sort of little visual bit of business. I brought you some pineapples, sir. Yeah.
But Lisa here says that Smithers is a go-getter. He'll get a new job, and we think it's at AT&T, but no, as you're saying, it's neat and tidy piano movers. He's going to need a steel rod now to where his spine was. He's never going to be able to move pianos again. And now call back to the opening act with the drag racing, with the voiceover guy. And Smithers is trying to do it. Do we need all these mayhems? We do? Well, I suppose you know your business. And we hear him getting fired, where you throw him in, he gets tossed out for just calling out the ridiculousness of this job. Then he asks for the job at Moe's, which is the Barney guarding job, because when they do the midnight delivery, someone needs to distract Barney. He says, well, I'll just wait outside until it's time, and Barney looks forward to working with him. Then Homer here, he's like, no, I've got to put a stop to this. He says, you can take the Barney guarding job like many of us have contemplated in our darkest moments, or you can admit to yourself that there's only one person that makes you happy and you're going to do whatever it takes to get them back. And he agrees to do that. Oh, this is where we get another oh my God. I love Moe's oh my God here, but when he realizes that Barney's not at his seat, and we don't see anything, we just hear Barney just wrecking shit outside.
The carnage.
And he's so happy.
Yes, he's so happy. Yeah, but if you watch Moe's emotions here, like he's going through like 7 different emotions of sadness, terror. He's terrified. What's going to happen? It's so great.
My favorite bit in that though is like when Homer is giving Smithers that pep talk and talks about yeah, you could take the job that so many have contemplated in our darkest hours. I bet we've all got that sort of rock bottom job.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, if nothing else works out, I'm sure I can go do this.
Yeah.
But I'll know that, like nothing else has panned out in my life. But okay, this will, keep the lights on and, keep the wolf from the door.
Now, you were saying, pull back the curtain, camera needed a new battery. You were saying whilst we're doing that you fact checked incorrectly. Do you want to settle the score here about Jack Benny?
Okay, then yes, we should put a little respect on the name of one Frank Nelson. Who is that, you may ask? He's the gentleman who said yes on the Jack Benny show. That's apparently all Frank did. Look, Frank probably was a really sweet guy who did right by his family and his community, but yeah, he is best known for saying yes.
If you can get a gig like that, though, you're set, right?
Oh God, yeah.
Catchphrase guy.
We have our share. We haven't been able to monetize it. We haven't made any T-shirts.
I had the Yes Guy's face as my Facebook profile picture for about 10 years, I reckon.
That poor old dude. Why are you talking like that? I had a stroke.
I feel like he's also one of those characters too where, I think maybe with memes now he's more popular, but say like 10 years ago, before memes were a big thing, he's one of those Simpsons characters where if you know, you know. So it's like, oh yeah, I know the Yes Guys. Like, oh yeah, we're on the same wavelength here.
Yeah. How many episodes do you reckon he's in? Maybe half a dozen, if that?
Less.
Up to now, maybe 10 all up, I'd say. I don't know. He's usually just like the guy that greets you at the door of a restaurant or something. He's not usually,
And a fancy restaurant.
And
at
a
that,
fancy
yeah.
restaurant.
Or he's the doorman at Costington's or something like that.
Yeah. You were saying before that you like Old Gil as well. And a lot of people love Old Gil. Old Gil actually came into the show when Phil Hartman was taken from us because he voiced Lionel Hutz and Troy McClure. And it was almost like Old Gil took over from Lionel Hutz because Lionel Hutz was sort of like
we need a pathetic punching bag kind of character.
Yeah, and that's what Old Gil. But what is it about Old Gil that you like, Daniel?
I think every time he comes on, it's failing. So there's times where whatever scheme he's got going is working, but deep down the end is near for him. Like he's
going to screw it up somehow.
And just how he talks. This time, Old Gil's go. Then no, it's finally
Have you ever seen a movie called Glengarry Glen Ross? Have you ever heard of this one?
I've heard of there's a play on at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah, it's a really famous play, and it was turned into a movie. And it had this really all-star cast of Al Pacino, Alec Baldwin, Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
But Jack Lemmon is playing this character who's like this old real estate salesman who's a bit past it, but still, still in there punching. And that's very much what Gil is based on, and even down to the look. But he's kind of like, can't really make a sale. And by the end, he's actually thought he's made this killer sale.
Yeah.
And he's sort of walking around all puffed up, and it turns out that it's, these people just like to talk to real estate agents. You haven't sold them shit. And he's going, oh no. So, that's what Gil's based on. Yeah, that's kind of why I like him as well. Yeah. Just can't buy a break, this dude.
But we're back at the power plant, and Smithers they got a plan now. They're going to call Mr. Burns' mum and put him through, and then Smithers is going to come in and save the day. But of course, Homer screws it up. So he calls Mrs. Burns first. She says, I'll give him what for until he cries Brassafax. I Googled Brassafax, not a thing.
I think it's just an old-timey word they invented that's from the mind of Swartzwell to that one.
So he says, I'll transfer the call when I give you the signal, and then Burns will be annoyed, and I'll come in and save the day. But then Homer, of course, accidentally disconnects the phone. Quick on his feet, pretends to be Mrs. Burns. Not good at all. This is your mother.
She doesn't call her son Mr. Burns.
But basically, it all goes to shit. Burns walks out, catches them, and says, "And you, Smithers, you put him up to it. I'm glad I fired you." And I mean, you really blew it this time, Smithers. And that's where the fight sequence breaks out. Apparently, they thought it was going to be too harsh to hear the sound effects of them punching each other. So they hit it amongst the groans. So you don't actually hear the punch. You just hear the ow, 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 as opposed to the sound of a punch. But I do like when Smithers gets his hand stuck in Homer's stomach and Homer just like hits him in the head. Just like playing with him. Burns tries to stop them with all the poking in the water and whatnot. And
I just love Smithers hitting him with the phone, but also saying, "It's for you."
Yes. Yeah. And then I'll teach you how to use a phone. And then Burns climbs onto the big polar bear, which I think up to this point, it'd always been a part of Burns' office, but never really acknowledged. And finally here, Burns is climbing onto the polar bear. He opens up the safe door, Smithers does, hits Homer, and he falls back into the polar bear, knocks Burns out the window. Oh my. Then we cut to Smithers feeding Burns. Here comes the endangered condor into the power lines.
Every egg he eats is either an extinct or endangered species. What a monster.
He's got Bobo, hot from the dryer. And make sure you don't burn.
Yeah, don't burn yourself on his eye.
Yes, and Burns says, "You know what? When you were gone, I became completely self-reliant." And he goes, "Would you like a Spanish peanut?" Yep. Take the skin off. Then he says, "And bet that guy." It doesn't say Homer's name. Is that guy that hit me? Make sure he gets what's coming to him. And we cut to the family all enjoying a fruit hamper, courtesy of Smithers saying thank you. What is he thanking you for? For pushing Burns out of a three-story window. Three-story window. Did he die? What am I, a doctor? And that's a good way of getting back to the status quo, isn't it?
Very much. Yeah. Homer's reset to factory settings.
Yeah.
Well, that, again, another classic sitcom kind of delivery of like, what am I, a doctor?
And that is the end of Homer the Smithers. Yeah, fantastic episode. And as I was saying earlier, one West Surprise wasn't done much earlier. I'm glad you chose it, Daniel. Thank you for choosing it. But
no worries.
What we usually do before we wrap up, though, is we like to ask our guests. We give them the spiel of, it's 1998, so you got the first 10 seasons of the show to work with. Okay. 1998. Channel 10 have come to you. They said, "Daniel, we want you to put together a 5-episode Friday night Simpsons marathon." When marathons were a big thing, and we loved marathons back in the day. What 5 episodes of The Simpsons are you going with? No particular order.
I want to go, obviously, that one, Homer the Smithers. I'd have that number 1. A Fish Called Selma.
Yeah, okay. We've had a few people picking that one recently. Yeah.
That's the Troy McClure episode. Troy McClure is another character I really enjoy. Just his dodginess and he's always up to no good.
And that is the Troy McClure episode too. And I'm so glad we got that before Phil Hartman passed away. Yeah.
Part of Darkness, the one where
Bill Poole? Yep.
Yeah, the pool. He breaks his leg and then starts. Flanders is screaming.
Oh, so good.
He thinks
Everything's wrapped up in a neat little package.
Yeah. When Flanders failed, because I'm a lefty, so I love that. The left.
Are you really?
Yeah, the left hand stool
okay.
one always appealed to me.
Being left-handed, was that ever represented much on TV when you were growing up?
I don't think so. Yeah, I just remember that being like, oh, that's cool. Wonder if there's really.
Yeah, well, was Flanders like
He's just like me.
Was he like the left-handed representation on TV when you were younger? Do you think? Like Flanders?
Yeah.
Being a right-hander, it never really was a big deal to me. I was like, oh, Flanders is left-handed, but I think imagine if you were left-handed, it's like, oh, finally a character just like me.
And Homer's Barbershop Quartet is probably one of my top. Yeah, definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, okay.
I just love
obviously a Beatles fan.
The Beatles, yeah, all those references. Yeah, it's just a really lovely episode, that one. The songs are so good in that as well.
Oh, yeah, they're fantastic. Yeah, like Baby on Board seems like it's a joke, but it's actually a really catchy song, Baby on Board.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, with that episode too, when I was a kid, I really enjoyed it. But it wasn't one of my favorites. But I think getting older and becoming a real Beatles fan and understanding all the references, it's like it's fantastic. For a Beatles fan, it's everything you want.
Yeah, I love it.
Alrighty. So which one are you going to start with? Which one would you end with? Do you think?
I reckon I'd finish with the quartet, and I'd start with left-hander. I reckon.
You're the first person to not put a Treehouse of Horror in, but it makes complete sense.
Yeah.
So, are there any Treehouse of Horrors that you did like?
I couldn't tell. No, I never would have watched one. I couldn't tell you anything about any of them. Every time they'd start, I'd be like, bleh. I'll put the news on.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Daniel, again for joining us here to review Homer the Smithers. Hopefully in the near future, maybe when you got your next tour coming up next year, we can get you back on.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks so much for having me. I'm definitely going to start watching. When I went on to watch the last couple of days, I was like, I'm going to go back and start watching some episodes.
Everyone's saying that. And I feel like Disney need to start giving us some credit because every time they're like, it's like people forget The Simpsons is there and they start watching. They go, you know what? I like this show. I'm going to watch more of it.
So nostalgic.
The people are speaking, Disney Plus.
Yes.
You know who to sponsor.
All right. Thanks, Daniel.
Cheers, guys. See ya.